Intruder alert! Intruder alert!
Let's give it to him! Hauling ass!
Takumi Sumina spends the 100-line Last Defense Academy counting down the days. 100 days to protect the Academy. 100 days to survive. 100 days until whatever truth is waiting at the end finally reveals itself. Every morning, the game reminds you that the clock is always ticking and that each day matters. Meanwhile, I was counting something else entirely. Not days, hours. Hours until I felt I had played enough to be fair. Hours until I could confidently say I understood what the game wanted from me. Hours until I could finally stop, close the game, and move on to something else without guilt. And when I finally hit 10 hours of playtime and made it to day 60, my reaction was pretty similar to the moment I finally beat that first boss in Metroid Prime 4. Hallelujah! But you might be wondering, well, Autumn, why did you feel the need to reach the 10-hour mark before you could put the game down? Well, here's the thing. I asked you guys in a community post to pick my next game, and you chose the 100-line Last Defense Academy. So here we are diving in together. I've been exploring every twist, turn, and long dialogue stretch, counting hours instead of days, and today I'm sharing my first impressions with you. Hey friends, I'm Autumn. Welcome back to Cozy Cartridges, the channel where we slow down and reflect on calm, nostalgic, and handheld gaming experiences. If that sounds like your vibe, grab your favorite snack or drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Today we're looking into a game that is confident, deliberate in its design, and clearly made for a very specific audience, even if that audience isn't exactly me. At its core, the 100-line Last Defense Academy is a story about pressure, containment, mystery, and time. You play as Takumi Sumina, a normal high school student living a dull, mundane life, until he's suddenly abducted and trapped inside a sealed academy alongside a group of other students, all tasked with defending humanity from an external threat over the course of exactly 100 days. The game never lets you forget that limit. Time moves forward relentlessly, and the narrative constantly reinforces a sense of confusion, urgency, and instability. It's also important to know that the game was written and directed by Katsutaka Kuroka, the creator of Danganronpa. Once you know that, much of the game's identity immediately makes sense. The bold character designs, exaggerated facial expressions, sharp tonal shifts, and distinct language all feel closely connected to Kuroka's previous work. The graphical similarities aren't coincidental. This game is very much speaking the same aesthetic and narrative language as the Danganronpa series. Let's be clear, I could never get into that series either. Not because I don't respect what it's doing, but because that particular blend of visual novel storytelling, heightened chaos, and prolonged narrative focus has never really clicked for me. Realizing that helped me understand my own reaction to the 100-line much more clearly. That said, the character writing here is genuinely strong. The cast is large but surprisingly well developed, with distinct personalities, memorable dynamics, and dialogue that often leans into exaggerated slapstick-style humor. The game isn't afraid to be silly one moment and ominous the next, and that contrast is entirely intentional. Mystery is layered throughout everything, and the game is perfectly happy letting you sit with unanswered questions, keeping you compelled to advance to the next day and find out what on earth is going on. One thing I want to say very plainly, because it colors everything else I'm about to say, is that I personally do not enjoy visual novels as a genre. And that's not a judgment on their quality or artistic merit. It's simply a preference in how I like to engage with media. If I feel like reading, I'll read a book. If I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie. But when I sit down to play a game, I'm doing that because I want to play, to move around, to interact, to experiment, and to feel like my hands are involved in the experience. The 100-line is first and foremost a visual novel. And no, I did not read the reviews on Steam, and I should have. Long stretches of reading dominate the experience with minimal interaction beyond advancing dialogue and making occasional choices that supposedly reshape them. Even though I'm completely comfortable with long cutscenes in jrpgs, those moments usually feel like punctuation marks between gameplay loops. Here, the reading is the loop. Because of that, I often found myself using the fast forward button. Not because the writing was bad, but because I was just itching to do something. I wanted to move a character, to manage a system, to make a tactical choice, or just to meaningfully interact with the world. When I noticed I was fast-forwarding, not just occasionally, but regularly, it became clear that this style of engagement just isn't what I'm looking for when I'm playing a game. What makes the 100-line especially interesting is that it contains many gameplay systems that I normally love. Outside of the main story and battles, you can spend your free time engaging in a variety of activities that give the game layers of depth. You hang out with your team members, building relationships and learning more about their personalities, which adds a light social sim element. You can even gift them machine crafted presents. You can upgrade weapons, improve certain stats, and plan how to optimize your party for upcoming battles. There's also this board game style minigame that lets you explore outside of the academy, uncovering more resources and bonuses. These systems all have the potential to be rewarding, and they show a lot of care and design. The issue isn't the presence of these systems, but the ratio in which they appear. Compared to games like Persona or Fire Emblem, where social simulation, stat growth, and combat are woven seamlessly into the daily loop, here those elements feel more like supporting systems orbiting a visual novel core. Instead of forming the backbone of the experience, they appear in shorter bursts between long narrative stretches. I kept waiting for that balance to tip, for the gameplay systems to take up more space, and that shift never quite came. Combat is where the 100 line truly innovates. Battles are grid-based and tactical, but the most striking feature is how the system encourages you to treat your party members as expendable during each fight. You can deliberately sacrifice characters to trigger more powerful attacks or area effects, with the understanding that they will be fully revived once the battle ends. This creates a unique risk-reward dynamic. Survival isn't the ultimate goal, efficiency is. Sacrifices are a tool, not a failure, and timing them correctly can completely shift the outcome of a battle. Mechanically, each unit has distinct abilities and movement ranges, so positioning matters a lot. Some characters excel at range attacks, others at buffs or debuffs, and some are best used to absorb damage temporarily. The system encourages you to experiment, to test different combinations of sacrificed units and remaining team members, and to really think about how to maximize effects over multiple turns. Additionally, the game layers other tactical choices into these battles. Environmental hazards such as metal or electrical fences, line of sight mechanics, and turn-based interactions all require careful planning. The result is a system that feels bold and unusual but coherent. Players who enjoy experimenting with unconventional mechanics will find this combat rewarding and engaging. For me, the challenge wasn't the combat. It was how rarely I got to play it relative to how much time I spent reading. Each battle felt like a concentrated burst of strategic decision-making, quickly followed by another long narrative stretch. I found myself wanting to pick up my 3DS and replaying a Fire Emblem game to satisfy that tactical battle itch. Takumi is counting days. I was counting hours. At one point, I checked my playtime not out of excitement, but to see if I'd hit 10 hours yet. 10 hours feels fair for first impressions. It's enough time to understand the systems, the writing, the structure, and how all the different components fit together. When I realized I'd reached that point, I felt comfortable stepping away. Not because the game failed, but because I had a clear sense of what it was offering and that didn't match what I wanted. I want to be very clear as I wrap this up. The 100-line Last Defense Academy is confident, creative, and very intentional. If you love visual novel-heavy experiences like Danganronpa, Digimon Survive, or 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, this game will likely resonate with you. It blends slapstick humor with dark themes, strong character development, layered mystery, and an innovative tactical combat that is unlike most strategy RPGs. But if you, like me, play games because you want to actively engage throughout, and if you prefer gameplay to form the backbone of your experience rather than orbit around a reading-heavy structure, this game might not hit the same way. That said, it is an ambitious title and well-crafted. I'm glad I finally spent time with the 100-line and gave it a fair shot. Sometimes learning what doesn't click with you is just as valuable as discovering a new favorite. Let me know down in the comments below. Did you try out the 100-line Last Defense Academy and did you enjoy it? Are you into visual novel style games? Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for weekly cozy gaming content. Until next time, may your strategies be sharp, your chaos be entertaining, and your days pass in delightful ways.